Hello and welcome to the Odds Checker Transfers Special. I am your host, George Elek, and I am delighted to be joined by Mr. Transfers himself, Fabrizio Romano. Fabrizio, thank you very much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Hello, guys. Hello, guys. Thank you for the invitation. I'm so happy to be with you, and congrats for your work because you're doing an amazing work. So I'm working so much, but I always look at your page on social media.
Top man, Fabrizio. Well, it's very kind of you to say that about us because it's fair to say you're absolutely smashing it at the moment. You've made the three words "Here we go" pretty much the most anticipated on social media in football at the moment. I mean, what is it like for you now with your 2 million Twitter followers, breaking stories, being the man that all football fans want to hear from?
It's beautiful because I'm happy when people get happy because of the transfer market, because I am a football fan too. So it's normal. I can understand what they feel when we are talking about transfer stories, and that's it. I always say that I try to work for the fans, not just because of my work, my job, but it's also for the fans because I love when I see fans buzzing for the news, getting excited for the news. So I really, really like it. And I like the here we go way, but obviously, as I always say, I don't feel transfer market and my work as a race. It's not a race just to be the first. Obviously, if you can be the first, it's beautiful, but it's impossible to be always the first. We have many top journalists in the world, so I always try to respect everyone. But obviously, I try to give news when I am sure of what I'm saying. So my priority is always to say something correct and not just fake rumors or something like this. This is my mentality.
Well, for anybody who's listening to this or watching this and doesn't know who Fabrizio is, get following on Twitter. He, in an age where a lot of people on social media are posting rumors that have no source, that you can't really trust, it's fair to say when Fabrizio posts something, you can believe that it's going to be true. And before we get into the current rumors, I mean, I know you're not going to give away any of your secrets, Fabrizio, but it's amazing to see that you've got so many fingers and so many pies. I don't know if that translates for you into Italian, but you have so many angles into different clubs. Can you kind of shed some light as to where your contacts and where the rumors come from?
You have to be honest, it's impossible to cover all over the world, but one thing that helped me and helped any journalist who is working in transfer market, I think, is that you can, in this world, in transfer market, something has changed in the last 2 and 3 years. You don't have only the clubs as sources. Obviously, the clubs are sources, but not just the club. You can talk with the agents of the players. We always have the intermediary in the big deals all over Europe. In every country, we have the intermediary while working. So many times, intermediary in particulars can help you, also agents, because they work on the deal. And if you talk with the club always are quiet. They don't want to share many news. It's obviously the way of the top clubs, so I understand it. But if you talk with the agents, well, intermediary, they can help you sometimes to get news because they are not interested in the club intentions. They are just interested in the deal. And that's why it's easier today, in my opinion, to find news. Obviously, easy is a particular word because you have to work, you have to stay always connected. So it's not easy at all. But having the intermediaries working in transfer market, you can get so many news than before when you had just the two clubs talking and finding the agreements because of about the players. So now you have the intermediaries, also the agents of the player, the families of players, the players themselves. You have the social media, so you have many ways to find news and to check news.
Well, Fabrizio, if there's ever any news that you're not allowed to post, just DM me and I'll get it out there. Okay, that's a deal between me and you. But we're going to talk through some of the biggest transfer stories going on at the moment, some of the biggest questions surrounding certain players moving. It's obviously a time that football fans are desperate for their clubs to be strengthening ahead of the transfer window closing fairly soon. Before we do that, I'm just going to tell the listeners and the viewers to download the Odds Checker app. It's the very best place for all of your free bets, all the best prices, bookie offers as well, and all the very best tipsters around. And you can follow these markets as well on the Odds Checker website as we talk through them. Fabrizio, there's only one place to start. It is the summer of 2020, the biggest transfer saga that we are seeing. It is, of course, will Jadon Sancho return to the Premier League? Will he return to Manchester? But will he be returning to Manchester United? He's currently 8-11 to stay at Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund saying they will not budge off their fee. Rumours of another transfer offer made by Manchester United in the last day or so. What's your understanding of the latest there?
Well, the situation is still the same, I have to be honest, by 1 month, because Manchester United were really close to sign the Jadon Sancho at the end of July, the start of August. They were really, really close. Then something has changed between the agreement between the two clubs. Manchester United didn't want to spend immediately 120 million euro, was the price of Jadon Sancho, because Borussia Dortmund always say they want 120 million euro. So at the moment, the situation is still the same. I see many rumors about a bid from Manchester United. I respect all the info, obviously, but what I'm told is that there wasn't an official bid from Manchester United for Jadon Sancho. They were talking with Borussia Dortmund, obviously with agents, with intermediary involved in the deal. And what Borussia Dortmund told to Manchester United was, we know you want to do another bid, it's possible, okay, but don't do any bid for 90 million euro, 100 million euro, because we're going to lose time. The player is not moving for 90 million euro, for 100 million euro. The price of Jadon Sancho is still the same, 120 million euro, and we don't want add-ons, we don't want installments, we just want this money. So I think it's so difficult to get Jadon Sancho on last 3-4 days, because obviously it's a question of time. You have to find agreement with Borussia Dortmund, and if you talk, as you said, with Borussia Dortmund board, they are saying the same in private as in public. They are convinced that Jadon Sancho will stay. He is considered a Borussia Dortmund player for this season, so I see really difficult to find an agreement right now for Jadon Sancho. The opportunity was at the start of August. Manchester United were close. Now it's so difficult, but the situation is still the same. It's still stalling. So if Manchester United will arrive and import a bid, we will see. But at the moment, Manchester United are still waiting on the Jadon Sancho deal, and I think it's so difficult to get him in 3 or 4 days.
With Sancho back in June and July, we were told that he was very keen to make the move. Is that still the case? Do you think if United were to up their bid and match the valuation, he would be keen to come to Old Trafford?
Yes, because the player, I think the key is also the player, because Jadon Sancho would love to play for Manchester United. He agreed with personal terms with Manchester United since the start of August. So it's normal that the player wants to join, but he's been so respectful with Borussia Dortmund too. He always say to Borussia Dortmund board the same that Lautaro Martinez said to Barcelona. You know, in February when Barcelona were really close to sign Lautaro Martinez, then the world has changed because of the virus. The same is right now with Jadon Sancho with Borussia Dortmund. The player said, if you're going to sell me, because you want this money, I'm happy to join Manchester United. I have the agreement with Manchester United. But if you're not selling me, I'm not going to strike with the club to break my relationship with the club. I want to stay. I'm happy here. I play the Champions League. Borussia Dortmund have a top team also this season. So that's why Jadon Sancho is ready to stay, and he's happy to stay. Obviously, I think that until next year, we are going to see Jadon Sancho in another club, because he deserves also to come back to the Premier League. But in this moment, he's not going to break with Borussia Dortmund. So if Manchester United will make an important bid, he's ready to join. If not, he's happy to stay at Borussia Dortmund. So respectful, we have to say.
So at the moment, nothing doing there, but it looks likely that United are going to try and strengthen their front line anyway. And Ousmane Dembele seems to be the likeliest player to come to Old Trafford. The odds of him joining United currently 1-3. Other names linked to Edinson Cavani is 6-4 to go to Manchester United, and Jovic as well, another player who is rumoured to be of interest to Manchester United. What's your understanding on these kind of players, or just another alternative to Jadon Sancho that United might sign?
Oh, they've been offered. Also, Luka Jovic has been offered to many clubs all over Europe. Also, Manchester United, also Roma, also AC Milan, many clubs. Because Luka Jovic is out from Real Madrid, he can leave the club on loan. So that's why in this moment there is a possibility to see him out on loan. But I have to say that in this moment, Manchester United are not progressing to sign Luka Jovic. We have to see what will happen on next days. But many players are proposed, obviously, to the top clubs, offered to the top clubs. So it's part of the game. And it's the same for Cavani. About Dembele is different, because for Dembele, Manchester United have opened some talks with Barcelona. At the moment, it's not advanced yet, but they are talking with Barcelona. They are talking also with the player. It's difficult because Dembele always said he wants to stay in Barcelona. He always said to his agents, also to Ronald Koeman, he wants to stay. He's convinced he can fight for a place in this Barcelona team and also for the future. He turned down bids from Liverpool, also from Juventus in the start of this transfer market. We're talking about June. So I think it's difficult to see Dembele leaving Barcelona, but I can tell you that Manchester United are talking with him, with his agents obviously, and they are trying to convince the player. So we have to see what will happen, but for sure Dembele is on the list for Manchester United, and it's different position by different players obviously, because if we talk about Cavani, we are talking about a central striker, is different. But if we talk about Dembele, he can be alone, because Manchester United would only try to sign Dembele on loan, and it would not be a permanent deal. So this is another thing to discuss with Barcelona. What Barcelona will decide about the deal with Manchester United. But he's an option, yes.
Interesting. Just a loan deal then maybe for
Yes.
Dembele. Manchester United also looking to sign a left back. We thought the deal to sign Alex Telles may be getting close. He's still 1-6 to be making the move, but that seems to, in the way that all Manchester United deals seem to be, not particularly an easy one to finalise.
Yes, it's not easy also because I understand the position of Manchester United when a player is with like 8 months left on his contract. It's normal you can say in January I can sign this player for free. Why you have to spend 30 million euro right now? So it's normal that Manchester United have this position. They are trying to arrive to the last days and they are doing it to get a lower fee. Is normal, around 10 or 15 million euro. This is the idea of Manchester United. Porto are still asking for 30, 25 million euro. So we have a big difference, but negotiations are on, talks are on. So we have to consider that Telles is still the main option for Manchester United as left back. The player wants to move. He wants to go to Manchester United. He has the agreement on personal terms with Manchester United. So now it's up to the club. We have to see if Manchester United will increase their bid on next days, but he's the main option. Yes, they also have some backup option for left back, but the main one is still Alex Telles, and I think they will go for him also on the last transfer days.
It's interesting you mentioned the backup because there's been some talk that possibly Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who's 5-1 to make the trip, could be an option from Arsenal. They'd obviously be pretty upset to lose him. And Nico Tagliafico as well, who's been very strongly linked to Manchester City. They could rival them for the signature. Any truth in that from what you know, or do you expect Tagliafico to end up with Manchester City?
I don't have any info about Tagliafico in this moment. I have to be honest. I just want to keep him after selling Dest. They don't want to sell also Tagliafico, so it will depend more to Manchester City than for Manchester United in this moment. And about the other name was Maitland-Niles. Is appreciated by Manchester United board, also by the scouting. He's always been scouting. It's appreciated. But if you talk with Manchester United right now, I was also checking this news, and Manchester United told me about him that they are not in negotiation for him in this moment. So I see him as a difficult option for Manchester United on last days.
Okay, let's move on from Manchester United now. We've given them enough chat there, I think. And on to Arsenal. And Arsenal fans absolutely desperate to see a new midfielder sign. Some talk of Chelsea's Jorginho, who's 5-2. Some talk of Thomas Partey, who's 1-2. But the one they're all tweeting, announce Houssem Aouar. And you have tweeted in the last hour or so about the Lyon president, Jean-Michel Aulas, saying that he expects a couple of players to leave. Do we think this will be a deal that finally goes through?
Yes, for sure, Arsenal are trying. They are negotiating with Lyon. They are still in negotiation with Lyon also right now. So we have to see really minute by minute what's happening. But they are trying. More than Juventus. I see also rumors about Juventus. It's true that Juventus called Lyon, but they were proposing other players, not for Aouar deal. They can't spend in this moment 50 million euro to sign Aouar. So it's Arsenal, the club, who are trying to sign Aouar. We have to see about the money because, as Aulas said, he wants 40, 45, no, he wants 50 million euro to sell Aouar. He was starting from 60 million euro. Now he's considering 50 million euro. So, it's normal in negotiation when you have a player who wants to leave because Aouar wants to leave and want to play in Premier League. You can change about the money and the asking about Aouar. But Arsenal are negotiating right now with Lyon. The player wants to leave. Personal terms are not a problem. He wants to join the club for the Premier League, but there is no agreement yet. So we have to pay attention because Aulas is a particular president. He wants his money. It's around 50 million euro, but he wants that money. And as he said today, he is not going to accept 35 or 40 million euro. Arsenal are ready to make another bid. We will see what will happen in the next hours, but they are negotiating with Lyon because they really want Aouar more than Thomas Partey in this moment, because Thomas Partey has a release clause for 50 million euro, but from Atletico board, I am told that they are convinced that the player can stay. They are not feeling that Arsenal are coming for Thomas Partey, and they are feeling that Thomas wants to stay. He's happy to stay. So it's different situation, also because Lyon are not playing the Champions League next season. Obviously, in Ligue 1, you have Paris Saint-Germain ready to fight to win the title. In La Liga, they have a different situation with Atletico because they are playing, obviously, the Champions League. They have a good project. Thomas is happy with Atletico Madrid having players like Luis Suarez. So it's so different between the two players, and that's why I see Arsenal more concentrated on Aouar than on Thomas Partey right now.
Still hope for Arsenal fans with Aouar, but it does seem to be following a theme, this Fabrizio, where basically the line is if a Premier League team wants their target, they need to pay what the club wants to receive, and the reluctance to do so is what's holding these deals up. We talk about Spurs now, and Spurs have, of course, made probably the headline signing of the window so far with Gareth Bale's return to the club, but the club, Jose Mourinho, they all still want a striker to either rival or play backup to Harry Kane. It's something the club have needed for a few seasons now. There are a few names being linked. Diego Costa is one at 13 to 10 who looks like he could be on his way. And Milik, another player who's been linked to Spurs and their striker search. Do you have any inklings if any of these deals are close or who their priority might be?
I have to tell you that talking with different agents and also about Tottenham people, I think they offered them like 100 strikers this summer because everyone knows that Tottenham are going to...
Everyone who's available.
Yes, many strikers offered to Tottenham. They have to make a decision right now. Pay attention to Milik, in my opinion. They were also trying for Luka Salario for Bayer Leverkusen, but Leverkusen said no. And the same for Luka Jovic, but they don't want this kind of striker, so in this moment, no. Pay attention to the situation of Barek Milik because he has been offered again. The main issue is that he had many injuries. You're going to try to sign a striker because Harry Kane has some injuries during the season, and going to try for Milik is particular because he also has some many injuries during the season. But he's been offered again, and he is an option on loan with buy option from Napoli. So pay attention to Milik in this moment. I think he's one of the possible choices for Tottenham. They are discussing between the board and Mourinho. They have different ideas about the kind of striker they want between Jose and the board. They are discussing to find an agreement about the player. And as I told you, pay attention to Arkadiusz Milik. In my opinion, in this moment, he is one of the serious options on the list, but is not decided yet.
So we'll stay with Tottenham now, and Inter's Milan Skriniar is another one rumoured, the centre-back. He's 8 to 15 to make the move. Some talk today that Fulham, who are absolutely desperate to get pretty much any centre-back they can, from what I can tell, could be joining that race as well. So 2 London clubs in for Skriniar. We expect him to move on. Spurs presumably still in the driving seat.
It's not easy. It's really not easy because Tottenham and Inter are negotiating, but also today the sport director of Inter said we are ready to keep Milan Skriniar because Tottenham were prepared to offer like 35 million euro to sign Milan Skriniar. But what Inter said is we are not going to sell the player for 30 or 35 million euro. We want 60 million euro. Now they are going to consider also 50 million euro with some add-ons to arrive to 60. So they are in talks with Tottenham. I'm told that during the weekend, possible on Saturday, Tottenham and Inter will get in touch again. We'll talk again about Skriniar, and we have to understand if Tottenham will go to make an important deal like 50 million euro, 45 million euro. If they don't, I think it's difficult to get Milan Skriniar. Also because you have to know that Inter, with Skriniar money, they need to sign another centre-back, and they have so poor time to sign him because they would have like 2 or 3 days to sign a new centre-back. And so they need money also to sign a new player. So it's not so easy deal. Tottenham are trying. He's the first option for Mourinho. He's in love with Skriniar. Since he was a Manchester United manager, he always asked for Skriniar because he's a fantastic defender, in my opinion. But it's really, really difficult. So it's up to Tottenham. If they bid for 45, 50 million euro, in my opinion, they can get the player. If they don't, it will be really, really difficult.
Pay up and get the player again. On to Leeds now. Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds, who've taken the Premier League by storm since they come back with their attacking style of football. And they brought in a fair few players as well, the latest being Cuisance, which has been announced recently. Still some rumours over Rodrigo de Paul as well. Do you have any news about future incomings at Leeds?
Situation is for the ball is that they offer like 25 million euro. Udinese always asked for 40 million euro, but it's not just this summer. Same was last January and same last summer. They always said if we sell the ball, it's 40 million euro. So I remember Inter were negotiating for him, also AC Milan, and they always asked for 40 million euro. So in this moment, it's impossible to sign him for 25 million euro. We will see if Leeds will try again. They signed Cuisance, and it's a fantastic deal in my opinion because they signed him on a permanent deal. Obviously, Bayern Munich have a buyback clause, so this is something important for the future of the player. But for Leeds, a player like Cuisance is perfect, in my opinion. So they are always, also right now, also more relaxed about the deal for De Paul. They are not desperate to sign De Paul. So if Udinese will start to talk to negotiate about the fee, they can try again. If not, they are okay with Cuisance. They are happy with Cuisance. I see also many rumors about Pulgar from Fiorentina, but he's not the real target right now. I see some rumors about Nandes for Cagliari. He's a player that Bielsa likes so much since he was in Boca Juniors. He's so appreciated by Marcelo Bielsa, but it's not easy because Cagliari are going to ask 20 million euro to sell him.
Okay, so a few players still around on the radar for Leeds. Yeah. One move that seems to have maybe hit a snag today, Douglas Costa is currently 7-4 to go to Wolves. Some reports also claiming that Manchester United could be lining him up as well. Have you got any insight into the future of Douglas Costa?
I'm told that Douglas Costa doesn't want to leave Juventus. He will leave Juventus just for a top club. So Manchester United is a top club in his mind, but Manchester United are not moving for him in this moment. Juventus have not received any bid from Manchester United for Douglas Costa. So we have to see, because as we always say, expect the unexpected in the transfer market, and in particular on last days. But until this moment, Douglas Costa is not in talks with Manchester United. About Wolverhampton, I don't have any confirmation about it, also because Wolverhampton are not looking on this kind of players. They look about young talents and this kind of players. Douglas Costa is a different player. He's in the final part of his career. He has really many injuries, and this is a big problem because he's losing many games every year because of the injuries, and that's why Juventus are considering to sell him. He's a fantastic player, skillful player, good winger, but many times he's injured, and that's why Juventus are ready to sell him. But from Wolverhampton, he doesn't have any bid, and in my opinion, he would not consider any bid from Wolverhampton, because he say, I want to move from Juventus just for a top club, playing the Champions League, fighting to win the Champions League, and it's different to consider this for Wolverhampton, obviously.
Unbelievable disrespect there from Douglas Costa to the town of Wolverhampton. I can't believe he wouldn't want to swap Juventus for Molineux. Outrageous. I was in Turin the other day and it reminded me a bit of Wolverhampton. But we'll move. We've got a couple more to ask you, Fabrizio, before we let you get away. We haven't spoken about Liverpool. We haven't spoken about Chelsea. We haven't spoken about Manchester City much. I think we basically expect their business to be done and dusted. Chelsea have brought in a fair few players, City too, and then of course the key Thiago Alcantara signing for Liverpool. Could we see a surprise? You mentioned to kind of look out for Milik with the Tottenham striker search. Are there any of those clubs just to keep an eye on in case they do spring a shock and get the checkbook back out?
In this moment, I don't expect something like this. As you said, clubs like Liverpool are okay and not involved in any other transfer in this moment. I see some rumors about Kabak, about Ismail Assar, but in this moment, Liverpool board say they are okay. They are thinking about the situation of Jorginho Wijnaldum for the next season, about his contract, but they are not concentrating this right now about some new players to sign after Diogo Jota and obviously after Thiago. So congrats to Liverpool, because they signed a top player like Thiago for cheap, we feel like they did. So congrats to Liverpool. About Manchester City, they are okay on defense with Ruben Dias. They are not going again for Koulibaly, for Koundé. The only centre back will be him. Possible that Eric Garcia will leave the club because Barcelona will try again to sign him. So Eric Garcia is the main target in defense for Barcelona. So pay attention to this situation. About Chelsea, I will always keep an eye on the situation of Declan Rice with West Ham, because Frank Lampard is in love with him. He wants also Declan Rice after a terrific window, always in a positive way, because Chelsea have been fantastic this summer. So they always try also for Declan Rice. They will try for Declan Rice, but I'm told from West Ham, noises also from the board, they are convinced to keep the player. They won't sell Declan Rice. So won't be easy. If Chelsea will try, would be for an important bid, because at the moment West Ham say we are going to keep Declan Rice. So that's the situation for Chelsea. I don't see many other players coming. They want just top targets. They don't want plan B. They don't want different players. They want top targets. So if they will sign another one, I expect it to be Declan Rice and not another one. And pay attention to Marcos Alonso, because he can leave the club. Inter are interested in him as a left back, and he could be an option on loan.
So if you were to make a prediction, once the deadline slams shut, once they can no longer make transfers, do you reckon Declan Rice will be a Chelsea player or a West Ham player?
In this moment, I would say West Ham. I would say West Ham, because if you talk with their board and with the president and anyone in West Ham, they say the player is staying. They are so convinced. So we have to respect West Ham. Obviously, when you talk about top clubs, it's normal. You can say, okay, to get excited about the deal, but we have to respect also clubs like West Ham. We're working well on the transfer market, and they say we want to keep the player. So it's up to Chelsea. If they put the money, but it must be an important bit, they can sign him. If not, the player obviously will stay with West Ham.
Final question before I let you go. It's not about this season, not about this transfer window, but there have been some rumours that Liverpool long-term are looking to bring Kylian Mbappe to Anfield as a long-term target. This is the big one, I guess, for Liverpool fans. Any truth in that, and can you see it happening?
To be honest, in this moment, we are talking about something that is not really happening, because obviously clubs like Liverpool, like Manchester City, and same Real Madrid can think to players like Mbappe. But right now, there has been no contact to get Mbappe to Liverpool for next summer. So we have to wait some weeks to understand the real situation. But Liverpool are not working to get Mbappe next summer. Also, because if you talk with the president of Paris Saint-Germain, Nasser Al-Khelaifi, about Mbappe, he is ready to fight to keep Mbappe, to make another bid to extend his contract. So it will be a war to get Mbappe on next summer, in my opinion. and it will depend by the player. But Mbappé now is focusing just on Paris Saint-Germain, on winning with Paris Saint-Germain, and not on moving on next summer. So we need to wait some weeks, in my opinion. It's not just about next summer, but in some weeks you can understand more, because his agent would work with Paris Saint-Germain also to understand what will happen with his contract. But Nasser Al-Khelaifi will try to keep him 100%.
Brilliant, Fabrizio. We've just ran out of time before I could ask you if there are any Oxford United transfers coming in, but I really appreciate your time here. I do recommend anybody listening or watching to make sure they follow Fabrizio both on Twitter and on Instagram. As I say, really reliable transfer sources and stories throughout the day, and a key person to listen to on transfer deadline day. And also I recommend that you download the oddschecker app now for all sports, all betting needs, best prices, best bookie offers, free bets, and the very best tipsters as well. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more of this content. We hope to speak to Fabrizio again very soon if he lets us, and yeah, most importantly, make sure you enjoy the rest of the window. Fingers crossed, it should be a very good end to the transfer window.